Why does being ordinary feel like a personal failure even when your life is already full of things worth loving? You see someone younger moving faster. Someone less experienced gets chosen. Someone announces a victory while you are folding laundry, answering email, or trying to survive a week. No one will applaud. Nothing has been taken from you. Yet their success makes your life feel smaller. At Brightcart, Mara had just led the strongest campaign of her career. She had been trusted with a company-wide initiative. Her father had begun treatment. Her daughter still reached for her hand, and her husband was still trying to meet her inside the life they had built. Then Helen announced one promotion, and in less than a minute, everything Mara had became evidence of what she was not. Hi, I'm Sarah, and this is Wise Mind Stories. In this episode, you'll learn why the need to feel exceptional creates entitlement, how modern comparison turns average into an insult, and why accepting that you are not special can become a surprising form of freedom. The Brightcart Town Hall began at 4 on Thursday. 200 employees filled the atrium beneath a wall of screens. Mara stood near the front with Theo and Julian, holding a paper cup of sparkling water she did not want. Helen stepped onto the low stage. After updates on the holiday campaign, she announced that Brightcart was creating a new vice president role to oversee consumer trust. Mara's pulse accelerated. The initiative was hers. The campaign had been hers. For 3 weeks, Helen had invited her into executive meetings and asked for her judgment. Mara had not been promised the job, but somewhere between possibility and hope, she had begun remembering it as an agreement. Helen smiled toward the front row. Julian Cross will step into the role next month. The atrium applauded. Mara did too. Her hands moved while the rest of her body went cold. Julian looked genuinely surprised. Theo slapped him on the shoulder. Helen continued speaking, explaining that Mara would remain the strategic lead and report directly into the new position. Mara heard only one sentence. You were not the obvious choice. After the meeting, Julian found her by the elevators. I didn't know, he said. Of course. Mara, I mean it. She smiled with professional precision. Congratulations. The elevator doors opened. You built this, Julian said. I have to call my dad. She stepped inside before he could finish. Mara did not call Tom. She opened the company announcement and read the comments. Congratulations, Julian. Well deserved. Perfect choice. Each sentence felt like a subtraction. The book describes 2 forms of entitlement. The first is obvious. I am extraordinary, so I deserve special treatment. The second often hides inside insecurity. I am uniquely defective, uniquely unlucky, uniquely mistreated, so ordinary expectations should not apply to me. One says, I am better than everyone. The other says, no one has suffered the way I have. They look opposite, but both place the self at the center of every explanation. Mara moved between them without noticing. They chose Julian because the company is political. They used my work. Helen is threatened by me. I have sacrificed more than anyone knows. Some of those thoughts might contain a fragment of truth. Entitlement does not require every complaint to be false. It begins when your preferred story becomes exempt from evidence. Entitlement is not believing you are valuable. It is believing reality owes you proof. On Friday morning, Mara called a project meeting. Theo presented 3 directions for the Consumer Trust campaign. The first was careful. The second was visually strong. The third was unfinished, but emotionally honest. A series of customer stories about purchases that had gone wrong and how Brightcart helped repair them. This one has something, Julian said. Theo looked at Mara. She saw what he wanted, permission to keep exploring. She also saw an audience. If Mara could prove her standards were higher, sharper, more sophisticated than Julian's, then perhaps the room would understand Helen's mistake. "It has no strategic discipline," she said. Theo's expression changed. "It's early," he replied. "Early isn't an excuse for sentimental." Julian leaned forward. "I don't think he's using it as an excuse." Mara clicked to the next slide. "Then let's not waste time defending work that isn't ready." Silence moved across the table. Theo closed his notebook. Mara felt powerful for approximately 7 seconds. Then she felt alone. In The Subtle Art, Manson tells the story of a man he calls Jimmy, someone who constantly described himself as a brilliant entrepreneur while projects collapsed and relationships broke around him. Jimmy's confidence looked impressive until you noticed that it had no relationship with feedback. Any failure could be explained away. Any criticism proved the critic was small-minded. His identity was protected because reality never received a vote. That is the danger of self-esteem detached from honest measurement. Feeling good about yourself is not automatically healthy. If the feeling depends on being superior, every room becomes a ranking. If it depends on being a victim, every setback becomes a courtroom. If it depends on never looking ordinary, other people's gifts become threats. Mara did not attack Theo's work because it was weak. She attacked it because his unfinished idea had received a moment of interest from the man who got her promotion. What looked like high standards was wounded exceptionalism. The following week, Mara worked later. She rewrote Theo's decks before he presented them. She corrected minor phrasing in public channels. She joined meetings that did not require her and offered answers before anyone finished the question. She told herself she was demonstrating leadership. The team experienced something else. Theo stopped bringing unfinished ideas. Julian stopped asking for her opinion in the room. People became careful around her. At home, the same pressure leaked into smaller moments. Lucy brought home a math test with an 86. "That's good," Ben said. Mara looked at the 3 questions marked wrong. "What happened here?" Lucy's shoulders rose. "I forgot to carry the one. 3 times?" "Mara," Ben said quietly. "I'm asking." Lucy took the paper back. "It's fine." The next week, she did not show Mara her spelling quiz at all. This is how the demand to be exceptional spreads. At first, it sounds like encouragement. You can be anything. You are destined for greatness. Never settle. But if exceptional becomes the minimum acceptable identity, ordinary improvement starts to feel humiliating. A normal career becomes evidence of wasted potential. A quiet marriage becomes less impressive than a dramatic romance. A good body looks inadequate beside an edited one. An 86 becomes the 3 points that were missed. Manson argues that mass media, and now social media, flood us with exceptional outcomes. We see the youngest founder, the perfect house, the dramatic transformation, the person who turned one idea into millions. Exceptional information becomes ordinary input. Then an ordinary life begins to look like failure. But by definition, most people will not be exceptional in most things. That is not a tragedy. It is mathematics. Average is not the opposite of meaningful. It is where almost every meaningful life is lived. On Wednesday, Helen asked Mara to stay after an executive review. Theo requested a transfer, she said. Mara's stomach tightened. "Why?" Helen held her gaze. "You know why. His work hasn't been consistent. His work was excellent until he stopped believing the room was safe enough to show it." Mara folded her arms. "So this is about one critique?" "No. It's about what happened after Julian's promotion." There it was. The fact Mara had refused to name. Helen continued. You think I chose him because I don't see your talent, didn't you? I chose him because he can receive information without turning it into a verdict about his worth. Mara looked toward the glass wall. Outside, employees moved between desks, living entire lives that were not about her. Helen's voice softened. You were the most talented person under consideration. You were not ready to make other people more capable. That was the emotional reversal. Mara thought she had been passed over because Brightcart failed to recognize how exceptional she was. She had been passed over because she needed recognition so badly that other people could not grow around her. The thing she was trying to prove was the thing keeping her from the role. Mara left the office angry, then embarrassed, then angry that she was embarrassed. The old feedback loop waited for her. This time, she noticed it. She did not tell herself she was a terrible leader. She asked what a leader should do next. She found Theo in the small studio near the freight elevators. He was labeling design files for transfer. Can we talk? Mara asked. Theo kept looking at the screen. Sure. Mara had rehearsed an explanation in the hallway. She wanted to tell him about the promotion, her father, the pressure, the standards she had been carrying. All of it was true. None of it was the apology. I used your work to prove something about myself, she said. I embarrassed you in front of the team. Then I kept doing smaller versions of it. Theo turned toward her. Mara continued. You didn't deserve that. He waited. I'm sorry. There was no instant repair. Theo did not smile and withdraw the transfer request. He did not tell Mara she was still the best leader he had ever known. He said, Thank you for saying it. Then he returned to the files. Accepting that you are not special means accepting that an apology may not produce the result you want. It means your pain does not purchase forgiveness. Your talent does not cancel your behavior. Your intentions do not outrank someone else's experience. And strangely, this is liberating. If Mara did not have to be exceptional, she could be wrong without collapsing. She could be one manager who hurt one employee and now had to rebuild trust through ordinary behavior over time. No dramatic redemption. No heroic speech. Just Tuesday's meeting. Then Wednesday's feedback. Then Friday's promise kept. The ordinary work of becoming different. You do not become worthy by standing above people. You become trustworthy by standing beside them. That night, Mara knocked on Lucy's bedroom door. Lucy was drawing at her desk. When Mara entered, she slid a paper beneath a book. Mara saw the red edge of a grade. You don't have to show me, she said. Lucy looked suspicious. Really? Really? Mara sat on the floor. I think I made you feel like mistakes were dangerous around me. Lucy considered this with the seriousness children bring to statements adults rarely make. You make the face, she said. What face? Lucy imitated a tight mouth and raised eyebrow. Mara laughed, then realized Lucy was not joking. I'm going to work on the face. Lucy pulled the quiz from beneath the book. 79. Mara felt the old impulse to inspect every wrong answer. She let the feeling exist without obeying it. Want help with any of these? Lucy pointed to one word. They worked on it for 10 minutes. No one posted about it. No one applauded. Mara did not become an exceptional mother that night. She became an available one. And for Lucy, that was enough. Sarah closing. The answer to today's question is that ordinary life feels like failure when our value depends on being exceptional. If you must always be above average, reality will keep insulting you. There will always be someone younger, richer, faster, more admired, or more visibly successful. Accepting that you are not special does not mean believing you do not matter. It means you no longer need superiority to justify your existence. Here is today's experiment. Do one ordinary thing well, and do not display it. Wash the dishes carefully. Listen to someone without turning the conversation toward yourself. Finish one small piece of work without announcing the grind. Help someone who cannot improve your status. Let the action be valuable, even if it produces no evidence that you are extraordinary. If you want stories that make difficult ideas feel personal, subscribe to Wise Mind Stories. Mara has stopped asking the world to prove that she is special, but that leaves an empty space where her old measurement used to be. If applause, rank, and comparison are unreliable, what should she use to measure success? And why can the same failure destroy one person while another walks away free? Wise Mind Stories quotable lines. Entitlement is believing reality owes you proof. Average is where almost every meaningful life is lived. You do not become worthy by standing above people. You become trustworthy by standing beside them. She did not become an exceptional mother. She became an available one. Next episode teaser. Theo's transfer forces Mara to let go of the identity she was defending. But the Consumer Trust campaign presents a choice that cannot be solved by humility alone. One direction will make her visible. The other will let her respect the person she sees when no one is watching. For the first time, Mara must decide not whether she can win but what winning should mean.